It seems like there are new cameras and equipment coming out all of the time. It gets increasingly confusing and the FOMO is real. John and I have been preaching for years that the best way to try out new gear is to rent before you buy. There is only one place that we recommend when it comes to renting, and that is our friends over at Lens Rentals. Lens Rentals is the premier source for renting not only camera equipment, but lenses, drones, projectors, and more. Do you have a big project coming up and you really need to wow your couple? Wanting to test out the newest camera before you drop thousands on it? You need Lens Rentals. My favorite thing is that if I love something I rent, I can keep it. They apply a portion of the rental fee to the purchase price, and within a few simple clicks, the gear is mine. So head over to howtofilmweddings.com/lensrentals and use promo code HTFW15 at checkout for 15% off of your order. Lens Rentals, the only place we recommend renting.
Hello and welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. It's a new year. We are excited.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year with spirit fingers if you're watching on the YouTubes or wherever else you would watch it. Do your thing. Yeah, Nick's got his thing.
I can't.
I know.
I can't.
It's okay. You've got it's fine. But here we are. It's a new year. We're fired up. We have a lot of things going on this year. It's gonna be insano. Lots of weddings this year, and that's why we're here. We're going to show you how to do things. We're going to give you tutorials. We're going to have YouTube videos. I'm the guy at the Enneagram 3 that's just like, it's a new year. I have all these goals. And maybe you do too. And Nick, before talking about today's episode, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm doing quite well. I'm excited about all of the things that we have going on. Right now, John and I have been working a lot with our friend Emma, putting on our mastermind retreat that we are celebrating with all of our mastermind students here in just a couple weeks as this launches, as this goes out. We are so excited about that. It's going to be a very, very fun time. I'm excited. I always think about the things that I want to do this year and I want to accomplish, and I am fired up. I'm excited about the travels that I'm going on. I'm going to Austin here in a couple weeks. We're going to South Africa. I'm going to Glacier. I'm going to Tahoe. Lots of places for Jen and myself to go this year. Going to Idaho again. Love Idaho. So lots for me. What about for you?
I have a crazy, awesome travel schedule as well this year. I'm filming in Guatemala. I'm filming in Cabo. I'm filming in Lake Placid, New York, and Telluride, Colorado, San Diego, California, New York City. How is this real life? Like, for real?
That's a good question.
I think about this, Nick. And we've been doing this podcast now. This is our fourth year. We're in our fourth year of doing this. And we have submitted to a plan and a process to grow our business. And every year it gets better and better if you're doing things right. And that leads me to talk about our very first guest of the year, Patrick and Alayna Helenga from Shore and Summit Storytelling. That's a mouthful, but it's fine.
I made that comment in the podcast, and you laughed at me.
I did. True. It happens, but we have them here. They actually, we'll explain it in the podcast, but they work for us now. They're part of our mastermind group, but they have been killing it. And we looked back, and it's been over the last 1,000 days. And we really wanted to start the year with this episode because now that we've been doing this podcast long enough, we're seeing people that have submitted to a plan and a process for long enough to see real results. So we want to walk through their story with you. We think it will be inspiring. And Nick, if you're okay with it, we can get right into this week's episode.
Let's do it.
All right. We are here with Patrick and Alayna from Shore and Summit. Hi, guys. Welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself, say hello to the How to Film Weddings community.
Oh, hi, guys. I'm Patrick. This is my wife, Alayna, the better half of the two of us, for sure. We together run Shore and Summit Storytelling. We were originally based out of West Michigan, but just a few weeks ago, we moved to Charleston, South Carolina, which has been a lot of fun. And we run both photo and video in our business, and it's been a whole lot of fun. I already lost track of the question.
I love it.
So this is Alayna.
Nick. And hi to you, Alayna. Anything you want to add to the hello real quick here?
I mean, I feel like Patrick covered it, but yeah, we're Shore and Summit. This is our life. We're excited to be on.
You're newlywed in the last couple of years anyway. And for those that don't know, you two joined our mastermind group this year. We got to know you a little bit. Patrick was out at Venture Workshop. We got to meet him. One thing led to another. We all kind of fell in love with each other whenever we posted about looking for a video editor, some social media help. You guys kind of put your name in the hat, and we've recently hired you all to do some things for How to Film Weddings. So we introduced you guys a month ago, but for the last few months, Patrick's been the guy behind editing all of our YouTube videos, and Alayna's been helping take over all of our social media, writing descriptions, just helping the How to Film Weddings team grow. So we wanted to have you guys on here for a few reasons. One, just to really introduce you to the community, because people are going to start seeing more of your faces during the 2022 year. And this being the first episode of the year, we want to have you guys on because your story is pretty insane. And this is the time of year where we really want to motivate and show people what you can do if you submit to a process and submit to a plan in your business. And so I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to kind of tell us a little bit about, and I think it was maybe in our mastermind group, I had mentioned something about like 1,000 days, and that's around 3 years of time. And you guys have been in business, or you guys have been kind of around the How to Film Weddings community for right around that 1,000 days. And so right on the money on the 1,000-day mark, Patrick sent me a message and was like, hey, I just realized something. And anyway, I'll let him tell the story a little bit, but why don't you guys tell me from the beginning, kind of some of your story.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I feel like there's a lot of similar stories in the industry of like how people got into wedding filmmaking, and mine was like other people's, like a complete accident. I wasn't really intending to do weddings. I went to school. My very first major was music education. I was going to be a band director. But I soon felt like out of that, I wasn't in love with that nearly as much as I was like on like the behind the scenes kind of production side of things. I had played a lot of instruments in high school. I was a part of a band and everything as well. And I got more involved in helping produce that stuff. So I ended up switching my major to audio production. And at the school I went to, the only way I could do that was to be in the film program. So I had to learn how to operate some cameras. I did things for the marching band. I made their like halftime videos and everything at our school, and ended up doing like some summer camp videos as well, like weekly highlight films. Just because like I could get a job in that. I could kind of get a little better at that because it was fun, but I was ultimately able to like work with music in that way too. I was able to like create films to like different styles of music and create different emotional feels through that, which was fun. All of a sudden a friend like came up to me and was like, hey, you know how to operate a camera? I got a buddy who runs a wedding video business. He needs some more shooters and you might be able to help him with that. I'm like, sure, okay. At that time, I was a broke college kid, making a little extra money in the summer was a great idea. So I did that, and soon enough, I fell in love with that. At that time, I was still like doing some audio things as well. I was helping out in like multiple different churches and different ministries on the audio production side of things. So I knew I always wanted to still do something with that, and so I was holding on to that for a while. But I started filming weddings, loved it. Decided to make my own business out of that. I think I changed my name like 4 or 5 times. I've had so many different names because each one just like, this doesn't fit, this one isn't right. Ultimately, down the line, we land on Shore and Summit, and Alayna could probably explain that better. But I started falling in love with that in 2016. Fast forward, though, to 2019. We had just started dating a few months prior. And sometime in February, I came across the How to Film Weddings podcast, and I was like, "Oh, this is this is pretty cool. And I think the episode was the first one that you had White and Reverie on. So like that one was like one of the early ones. I think that you guys were in like the 20s for that, and now you guys are almost at 200. So that's a lot of episodes ago. Many dozens of episodes. And
many dozens.
Many. And I'm like, this is really cool. You can actually create a really cool, profitable, successful business out of this. And around that time, it just sparked in me, like, I wanted to take that more seriously. So I quit my job working for a church that April in 2019 and decided I want to do this full time. Logistically, I probably shouldn't have. The money was not right, but I'm like, I'm just going to take a risk and try it. My whole life has been about just taking risks and like massive leaps of faith, and each time it's just proven like beneficial. It's always provided fruit, and it also just so happened that like all of my typical second shooters were getting busy with their own work, so I didn't have people to second shoot for me, and my contract said I was going to provide someone. So,
and that's where I come in.
Yes. If you want to continue there.
So we had started dating in December of 2018. So by the time we get to spring of 2019, it's still fairly fresh. Patrick essentially tells me that, hey, you're going to come second shoot for me. We set up a couple of shoots with friends just to kind of like, I came from nothing. I came from no camera skills, no background in it whatsoever. Just to kind of get a feel for it, and then went to the first wedding I went to with you. You were solo shooting it, but I came along as just like an extra pair of hands, and any footage I got was bonus. But from there, it was kind of just like trial by fire, and I shot most of the weddings that summer. And from there on out, it kind of became an us thing that we did together. We got engaged at the end of 2019, and around that same time decided that Patrick's current name, like he was currently doing video under his own name, and we decided to change it to Shore and Summit, just because it felt more like an us brand, an us thing, and we wanted it to feel, I don't know, it gave us the feel that we wanted to moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah, so kind of just from there, we've been running with it. We have been avid how to film weddings people since the get-go. I think once Patrick had wrangled me into doing this, probably a few months in, I was like, yeah, no, this is what I listen to on my Mondays. So we've just kind of very much been following the track of what you guys have taught and what you guys have like implemented in this community. And I think it's just really proven so beneficial in our business that we, by the time you got to 2020 and into this year, like, I don't know, I feel like we just have so much trust and respect for both of you and this business that you've grown up from nothing in the community that you've established, that it's been super helpful for us to be a part of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nick, it looks like you go ahead. I'll let you go ahead.
Well, I want to say, and we're gonna get into this. We've kind of covered, Patrick's start and Alayna getting thrown into it and then falling in love with it as well. But it's really easy again to hear of people and say, oh, they charge this much, or they make this, or they're traveling all over the place, or they're doing all of these things, and like you at home might be sitting there like, ugh, like, I want to, like, why am I not doing that? Why am I not making $6,000 a wedding? Why am I not traveling to Seattle and Denver and Charleston? Why am I not going to, like, and we sit there and we think, woe is me, and, oh, there must be something wrong with me. But the thing, like, where Patrick and Alayna are today, it's because for the past 3 years, for this past 1,000 days, they have worked at it and they have made decisions based on like where they want to go in the direction that we want to go. And, that's one of those things that John and I have talked about a lot is we want the benefits of all of this stuff right now without having to put in the work. And I'm sure that while you guys were like doing this stuff and figuring this stuff out and like implementing changing your name, figuring out who you were, like it wasn't necessarily like the easiest of processes. Like there was probably some growing pains with that. There were some, hey, we're not only are we, newly dating and newly engaged, now we're in a business and we need to figure this stuff out while we're still getting to know each other and, like all of these things. And so I guess the encouragement that I'm sharing, to those people is this stuff does take time. And if you follow a path, if you have your sight set, this is where I want to go. If you keep that going, you'll more than likely get there. It's that time. And we have seen, we've been watching Patrick and Alayna, like we said, they're in our mastermind group and, they work with us. And so we're, in contact with them quite a bit, but we're seeing the benefits of them putting in this groundwork, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and where they are today. So, I just wanted to throw that in. And John, what do you want to add in?
Yeah, I'd
here?
like to add, so episode 20, that seems like a really long time ago to us, but also it doesn't seem like that long ago when we first had White and Reverie on. And it's weird coming into now the 4th year of us doing this here in 2022 is that we're now starting to get stories from people that found us early, submitted to kind of a process and a plan, what we preach. They've done the work, they've made the hard decisions, and now all of a sudden, boom, they're making more money than they could have imagined. They're more fulfilled than they could have. And yes, there's still like growing and growing pains. And but at the beginning of this year, I really wanted to drive it home that maybe you're 200 days into your journey or 400 days or 500 days, about 1,000 days, like watching Nick from the beginning of meeting him 1,000 days after we started really talking and helping each other grow is whenever Nick made his first $10,000 sale. He was in the $3,000 or $4,000 range, and then about 3 years into that, that process, he started making, really seeing the success. And so I want to encourage you, if you're on day 200 or day 500 or day 800, whatever, keep pushing through. So back to these guys over here, Patrick and Alayna. You said in April of 19, Patrick quit his day job. In May of 19, Alayna is voluntold to do some stuff. You got engaged at the end of November, and into December. You changed your name. COVID hits after that. Mm-hmm. You're in the middle of all this stuff. You're not married yet. You're engaged. You're trying to run a business. You're a few hundred days into, putting the stuff in the crock pot and letting it simmer. What happened in 2020 for you guys?
Oh, Lord.
It was a wild time.
Oh, my gosh.
So we're planning a intimate destination wedding for ourselves. So we're planning on getting married in Canada. We're getting married in the mountains in Banff. That's the plan. That all very much disintegrates about...
Did not happen.
6 weeks out from our wedding when we very much realized that the borders are not going to be open and Canada says, no, thank you. You cannot get married here. Mm-hmm. So we still got married July of 2020, moved everything home. With our business, I feel like everything felt really crazy at that time, but I was at home. I was a teacher at the time and we obviously weren't in school. So during that time, I took on so many other parts and pieces of the business just because I had the time and the ability to. So it gave us that extra time to kind of put a little extra effort into the things that we were trying to grow and the things that we were trying to change and get better at.
Yeah. Because you took on some of those processes that I wasn't necessarily great at, like the emails and helping start up the social media a little bit more, I was able to then pass those hats off to you and I was able to just focus on the production side of things, the filming, making sure I'm getting better at that, getting better at color, getting better at editing. So I was able to a lot of that workload was lifted off of me so then I could focus on what I was actually good at and grow our business. And she was able to take on the things that she was really good at. And that really helped skyrocket a lot of things at that time.
And we knew at that point Patrick was slated to go to Venture, which was supposed to be in that that May time frame, which obviously didn't happen in May. So we were we don't want to miss out on education before we go into this upcoming season, which we were still expecting to be normal at this point. And so we scheduled a mentor session with you guys and we scheduled a mentor session with Kaylin from White and Reverie and just kind of wanted to make sure that we were in a place that as we had time to invest in our business, that like we were doing the best things possible for where we were at. And I think that was super helpful to just get us on a trajectory of, okay, like if these are our goals, then this is where we need to go.
Yeah, and at that point, like we were charging $2,500 as our starting rate, because like at that point, like we didn't really have much of an idea of what our market was like. We're just like, I don't think we can go much higher than this. A lot of the people that in our minds were better than us weren't charging much more than that, so like it was hard for us. But after our calls with both you guys and Kaylin, we were encouraged to raise our rates to like the 3 to 4K range, and we were really hesitant about that. But again, like I said before, like I'm a big risk taker, leap of faith kind of person. I trusted that process. I trusted what you guys, the experts, were saying, and we did that. And within a month, we had people already booking us for like $3,800. Like they weren't like shocked or blinking at all, like at $4,500 or whatever. And we're just like, what the heck? We could have been doing this for like the last while, and like we didn't. And yeah,
I'd love to chime in right there, because I think a lot of people don't think, like I was the guy when I first started in 2007, I did not pay for any education for like the first 5 years of doing this, because that's stupid. I'm going to save my money. I can figure that out on YouTube. I can figure that out on my own. And just with like that mindset, like one of the things we teach a lot about, is investing into education and making that a line item on your budget to like spend thousands of dollars a year to be pushing to growing, whether that's at workshops, with courses, with our courses, with mentor sessions. And so like you took that advice because you had been listening and growing, and like I'm sure with Alayna's background in education as well, it's just education's important. It's more important than you realize. But those investments, which might have been $1,000 or a little bit more for both of us to do mentor sessions, they immediately paid off for you, just in that confidence boost by somebody that is a professional, an expert in the field, looking and saying, hey, raise those. You can raise those prices. They can give you that boost of confidence. And like the education side of things, like maybe it's not just this groundbreaking, wow, my whole life is different because of this course I bought, or this mentor session I took. But you all were taking steps, and you do get little nuggets and do get little things and get that confidence boost from education, from mentor sessions. And so I want you to say it again. You did these mentor sessions, you were charging $2,500, and then what happened after all this?
Yeah, we raised to 3 to 4K, and we had people like not even hesitating at that. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Here, take my money, which is crazy. But I want to double back also what you said about how important education is. Like, people pay tens of thousands of dollars to get a piece of paper that says they know this thing so that they can get a job that pays like 50, 60, 70, 100,000 a year. And it's the same thing here. Like, if you invest in education, even for this, like you're going to see like the rewards from that.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't even share that, like when Patrick initially found you guys, like the ducks were not in a row, and he was running like a Valentine's special for like $1,800 just to fill out the calendar.
Yeah, I just wanted to fill out the calendar at that time. At that time, I was at like maybe 7 weddings, and that Valentine's special got me like 8 more, it was great. It got me noticed. It gave me more experience, which I think I still don't think that was entirely a bad idea, but I probably could have charged a little bit more at that time in hindsight.
But that whole time you guys are both growing, you're figuring things out, and there are the bumps in the road and the figuring out of, like if you look back at those edits that you were doing right at that time, you'd probably be like, oh, like these are not very good, or the colors are not very good, but like, again, like Nick was saying, like pointing and looking at other people and being like, well, John's films look like that, and no wonder he can charge that or whatever, or Nick's film. And it's like comparing yourself to other people as opposed to like really like you guys were just working on you. And in the meantime, we are in this industry where we can be working as we're growing, and people will pay us that rate along the way, to where, yeah, they're cool with paying $2,000, and a $2,000 wedding where you're at equals we can practice kind of on this wedding. Like we're learning on this wedding. Like the stakes aren't very high because they're not paying a ton. And so like you're doing all this stuff in the background. It wasn't just like, oh, do a mentor session, have somebody tell you to raise your prices. No, your films were getting better. Your brand was getting better. You were taking all this information, processing it, and seeing how it worked in your business. So at this time, you're probably 3 to 500 days into the 1,000 days, right? So somewhere in the year and a half, 2 years into this, 400, 500, 600 days, somewhere in there, and you're starting to see these benefits. It's not like, hey, if you're in your first, 100 days of kind of submitting to growing this business, it might not be the right time to raise your price. Like, so it's different for everybody. I don't want people out there to think that it's just like do a mentor session and then you can raise your prices. You have to be working on your business and submitting to this plan. All right, you can continue. I just wanted to yes.
Well, I love this and I want to hear the rest of the story, but I think we need to hop off to a quick break, really quick. So we're gonna take a quick second, go to break, and then come back with more from Patrick and Alayna from Shore and Summit Storytelling.
All right.
Nick and I have to tell you about one of our favorite places to upload our wedding films, and that is Love Stories TV. Love Stories TV is one of the best free resources for us wedding filmmakers. The best part is they are bringing the couples to us. All we have to do is upload our films and we are good to go. Upload unlimited wedding films to your completely free business page. Setup is easy and your films can be live in just minutes. Now is the perfect time to start uploading to Love Stories TV. So head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to check out all of the details and see how Love Stories TV is giving away $10,000 in cash to wedding filmmakers just like you. That's howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to start uploading and connecting with the right couples today. Finding the perfect song for your wedding film can be so frustrating. We spend countless hours searching for the perfect song. When it comes to licensing music, Nick and I both love MusicBed. Not only do they have the best music, but their website makes it so easy to find the perfect song and to find it fast. We have both been using the MusicBed's wedding subscription for years and cannot recommend it enough. Not only are they adding new music from incredible musicians like Chapters, The Light, The Heat, and Tony Anderson all the time, they've made it incredibly easy to search their library for mood, genre, instrumentation, and even key. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed and use promo code HTFW for a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription. howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed.
All right, we are back from break with Patrick and Alayna from Shore and Summit Storytelling. Man, that's kind of a mouthful, Shore and Summit Storytelling. I like it, but it's kind of a lot to say.
This is good. I like this.
This is quality entertainment. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our Wedditor question of the day. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing. And my question is this: what happened next in your story?
Well, I think the next thing that happened is shortly after we did the mentor session with you guys at first, Nick had a wedding up in Michigan that was supposed to be Yosemite,
It was
right?
supposed to be in Yosemite, and then they were like, nope, we're not doing that, travel and COVID and stuff. But they were like, they kept the same weekend, and they actually told us that we could not travel up there. They were like, we don't want you to fly. We don't want you to we don't want you to come up here. And I was like, oh, well, okay. So I put out an SOS and I was like, hey, someone, is there anyone available to film it? The bride had actually found a guy, but he didn't do weddings. He just was going to capture it. And so I was like, I don't like this. And is there anyone available in Michigan? And Patrick was like, hi. I am. And so, yeah, you guys shot the Michigan side. We later filmed in Big Sur later that year. But you guys shot the Michigan side for us, and it turned out great. You did awesome.
Yeah, so that was super fun. I feel like we've just kind of slowly but surely been working our way to where we are now as far as with the How to Film Weddings side of things. But that spring, we got married July of 2020. We still filmed pretty much a full schedule in 2020, as far as our weddings.
We had very
went.
minimal reschedules and or cancellations.
Yeah, so we were really fortunate, I think, as far as all of that.
We had like 4 or 5 people book us for last minute weddings too.
Yeah.
So like we still had a very full year.
And I think for us, that helped us kind of figure out more of like who our ideal client is. Like our people are people that it doesn't matter if we can't have the big fancy celebration. Like we just don't want to wait around. Like those are our kind of people. So from there, like I think that gave us a really interesting perspective being on both sides of it that year. Of we're on the couple getting married side and also the business trying to like look out for themselves side. So I think it gave us a really unique like stance in that of like people really, I feel like we were able to be extra compassionate to people because we were going through it too. But also I think people understood when we put our foot down, if it was like, we have to put our business hats on for this, that they were like, we understand and we understand that you get it. So I think that was really helpful for us to kind of just give us the perspective of both the couple side and the business side through the whole COVID thing, which has continued even now. I don't know. That was just a really interesting season for us.
Yeah, it's very unique. I mean, it's pretty cool to, like, what you guys have already been through, like, as a business, like, getting going in business during the middle of COVID and, you know, applying, you said it, you know, like, you found your people. And that's one of the things we really preach in not only the podcast, but in the mastermind group and different places to, like, really define who that is. And that helped you to do that. I know that you... Like, I met Patrick in October of 2020 briefly at Venture. You know, you guys had been married that summer. Venture was rescheduled to October. What's next in the story? Like, what did that do for you? Where did that take you after being part of that? I know you got to hang out with Nick a little bit too in person. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a little bit after Venture, what I was able to learn from that, I took back to Alayna. We rewatched some of the things that were pre-recorded and all of that. But we decided to sit down and really kind of figure out what our 5-year goal was, and it's like what we believed we could do in that time and how we could get our business to be in what our version of successful is. And we knew education was still one of those things. We knew proper client relations and like being personable with our couples was super important, and just continuing to grow. We didn't want to be like very like stagnant. We didn't want things to feel jaded. So we're just like, let's keep growing. Let's let the new things come in because you never know what's going to change your business for the better. So we were very open-minded for a lot of like potential changes that our business could have. And we established what that 5-year goal looked like. And maybe a few months later, we hear, hey, there's this thing happening. It's called Mastermind. It was like, all right, well, let's learn a little bit more about this. We're like learning how, like, this is what you guys were saying, like, this is something just, I'm losing my words. Alayna's better with words. Maybe she can finish this.
You sound a lot like me and John
Guys, this
right
is
now.
so fun. Yeah, like,
I know.
Nick, it's always fun. Yes.
I can have like 5 different trains of thoughts, and I'm switching between different ones like maybe 3 times.
I bet a lot of people out there listening can relate to that.
Yeah,
In the
so
wedding video world.
that's me right
Yes. Alayna,
You know, it's the ADHD.
finish the thoughts.
now. We learned about Mastermind.
So yeah, we kind of were just setting up our 5-year goals. And at the time I was still thinking, okay, I'm going to stay in teaching for a few more years so that we can give the business time to get to the point that it can sustain both of us. It doesn't make sense to come off of insurance yet, kind of thing. And that was like, as we were going back to, like, I taught in person during the 2020-2021 school year. And just kind of going into that, knowing that it was going to be rough, but not having any idea how rough it would be, we were kind of like, oh yeah, a few more years. And then once we got to probably like that October point, we're like, how can we make it so that I can be done after this year? Like, what will it take to get to that point? Around that point, we had played around with the idea of adding photography just like under our brand.
That was a thing.
Because it was something that we had gotten so many people coming to us asking, like finding us first before they have a photographer and asking like, do you offer that? Do you
I feel like
offer
that's the
both?
ultimate dream.
And at the time we were like, I mean, we could, like logistically with two of us, like we could. So we kind of just played around with the idea, got a Canon Mark III and just kind of started playing around with it, doing shoots. And by, I don't know, late fall, we were like, you know, for 2022, let's offer it and see like if anybody bites. We ended up shooting 5 or 6 photo weddings this past year. And it's been super fun for me to kind of have that creative outlet to also be another thing that I'm growing and learning in. Because as an Enneagram 3, I'm always just like looking for a new challenge and something else that I can like learn and get good at.
I'm sure you guys are familiar with that.
Very much so.
So that also kind of became the thing that let me leave my teaching job after that school year. When you can show up as the same 2 people to a wedding and charge twice as much, suddenly that changes the picture. So for us, that made the most sense. And that kind of just was a kickstart to, okay, maybe our 5-year goal is attainable a lot sooner than we think it is.
If I can chime in, so when we did our mentor session with you all, I think that it might have been the first one while you were in Mastermind, and I might be rushing ahead, but one of the mentor sessions we did with you all, you know, I remember Alayna being like, I'm going to do photo, and are these good images? And we charged it felt like $800. It felt like so super cheap. It was probably like
stupid, like
1500.
stupid cheap.
And I was like, I know you haven't been doing this long, but you understand you have been doing video as well. You have this brand that you've built. You could charge $2,500 to $5,000 for this easily, and like really start to open your mind to doing a combo video photo option for the 2 of you. You could charge way more. You could save people a lot of money. You could save creatively. Video would have, you know, control of creative photo. Like you could be working together and like just this idea. And just even in the last year of watching that go, like you're now in Charleston and like all that, you know, but it's like you're booking weddings for video and photo and charging, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But so anyway, it's just like sometimes you just need a mentor or a person that is outside of your situation to look at it and to say, no, you don't need to wait that long to do that thing. Like you should take that risk now. Like somebody that you really trust. And I just remember out of nowhere, like, boom, I keep seeing you booking more and more things. So anyway, you can go back to, I just wanted to, like, if you're out there and you're on the fence about like, should I hire somebody to mentor me? Should I take some mentor sessions? Should I do something? If you're confident in that person that you're working with, it can really, really pay off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's kind of been our biggest thing. I think from there, I feel like Mastermind was the next step. Like we had, I don't know, we'd missed the boat on your course like 2 or 3 different times just because of where we were at in life. I think when you initially released it, we had just gotten engaged and were planning a wedding. And then the second time there was something else going on. We just bought something big or something. Mm-hmm. And just like we'd missed the boat multiple times. So when we heard about Mastermind, we're like, this is the thing. This is the thing we've been waiting for. And just kind of like knew from the get-go as soon as you launched it that like this was the perfect fit for us. Like we were looking for something more involved. We were looking for accountability. We were looking for a community, and it just seemed like the perfect fit.
Yeah. It just felt like we were having weekly mentor sessions with you guys, plus, 40 or so other people also who were like committed to learning and growing together. There's just something really special about that you can't really get many other places. Mm-hmm. It's just like having a very intimate like lecture hall kind of thing. We're all welcome to interact. We're pushing each other to grow. The Facebook group has been really wonderful because like people just ask questions and everyone is so supportive and very helpful. We've had multiple opportunities where like just people who are like, hey, I'm on editing. I'm doing some color right now. Here's a Zoom link if you want to join, and we can maybe get better at this together. And it was a really cool opportunity. We've met a lot of amazing people that are even close to us now in our new area that were like, you guys are good friends of ours now. Like, we want to keep hanging out. We want to grow this community together more and more. So in more ways than one, Mastermind has just really given us what we needed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's whenever John and I launched it, like, we had this kind of vision and thought of what we wanted it to be and what we were hopeful of what it might become. And we can sit back here and say that it is definitely turned into something like even bigger than we thought it would be. It grew into something more. And I love I know that you guys, because of the the teaching and encouragement you got from us, you got from others, these speakers that have come in, you went through, hey, we, if we're going to charge, this amount of money, we need to go through a rebrand to do this. And, if we're going to, get better, we need to put ourselves in situations, where we can take more photos, or, buy a van and drive halfway across the country and take photos everywhere and they get stranded because your van breaks, and, all sorts of stuff that you guys have been able to do this year. But if you didn't have, some like people to help guide you and people to help push you, it wouldn't have happened for you to get where you are. And so, I like, we're like John and I, are like proud mama hens, or kind of something like, where we watch you, and we know that we didn't do the work that you guys did, obviously, but we know that we had a hand in helping you get there. And so to see the things that we have talked about, and to see other people buy into those ideas, and now seeing where you are now, like, it's so incredible. And I want to, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead too much, but this year has been great for your business, with Mastermind being a part of that. Why don't you kind of do this 1,000 days comparison, right? Because you said in November of this year, it was about kind of your 1,000 days whenever you started to take stuff seriously. Why don't you kind of do a compare and contrast of when you started, what you were kind of charging, and what the kind of weddings that you're doing, and where you are now. So that 1,000-day comparison. Yeah.
So, 1,000 days before, like late winter, early spring of 2019, I was charging $1,800, $2,000, something like that, starting for video locally. Jump forward 1,000 days. I think at that point I had texted John, it was like November 21st. We were charging at base $5,200 for video, but we were averaging maybe $6,000 to $7,000 for that. We had just recently booked a photo video wedding for about $13,700, and we were just on our way back from a wedding in Jamaica where we also did photo and video. Like, the difference between 1,000 days from then to that point was just crazy. Like, I'm like, how did we do this? Like, thinking back to like when we were talking about our 5-year goals, like at that point we had already achieved them in less than a year, which was also just crazy to us, like mind-boggling. We had no idea how that happened. It's like, what the heck? You like blink your eyes and like there it is. Like, I know some people might think 1,000 days is too long. I can't do it in that much time. It could be sooner, but it could be later. But at the same time, like once you compare between where you were and where you are, like you see how worth it was.
Mm-hmm. I would add in there too. I know Alayna ended up like quitting her job in June of this year, which your goal was what, 2 more years, and you still
I was gonna say
now.
I think the goal was like at least 2 more years. So I left my teaching job in June of 2021 and have been full-time ever since. And I initially made a big long list of things that I would do as I was kind of transitioning out and starting off being full-time, because I thought I was going to have so much time to do things, and realized how much I'd already been carrying a full-time load and trying to do both. And like just getting to the point now where I'm finally out of, wow, I've pushed myself so hard for the last so long, and now to have the freedom that we have feels so relieving. And it's just like such a dream to get to do this together. And like, as we're building our life together, as we're building our business, like, just to have seen how far it's come so quickly has been really like wild. And to be working with clients that we love working with, and to be doing weddings that are just like, I don't know.
They feel like us. They're a part of our brand, and it's just exciting. Like, we can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. And it's just crazy to see like what the past 1,000 days has held, and to know that like we're by no means at the end of the journey, and there's plenty more growth to do. And like, we're not going to suddenly just be like, yeah, no, cool, we figured it out. We're done. We've learned all we can learn. I think for us, it's important to continue pushing forward regardless of what that looks like. I think in each season, what that growth looks like is different. And Mastermind has been amazing in this past season for us, and it's caused so much growth. But like, that doesn't mean that we're done at this point in growing and pushing forward in our business.
Yeah, I would add to, like, so watching you from the first time that you've listened to an episode of How to Film Weddings till now, you know, maybe it's getting closer to 1,100 days now or something, or 1,050 days maybe, but like watching you guys not just listen. You didn't just listen, you took action. And that's something that I see that you all do, is you take the information, you process it, and you don't take a year to make a decision. Like Patrick was saying, like you are taking risks, but they're calculated risks and they're worth taking. And you know, you're making sure that you're safe to take those risks, but like that is part of the growth process. Like, you guys heard about Mastermind, you joined, and then when we did our meeting, you know, it's a mentor session or whatever, like in what we talked about inside of the Mastermind, you guys started applying that. And it's not just like a quarterly mentor session or a yearly. I mean, we're getting into the thick of it every week, helping you grow, helping you with other people. And I remember you all just taking that information immediately and starting to make changes in the first weeks of Mastermind, and saying we're booking for higher packages now, we're rebranding, we're redoing our website, you're taking this knowledge, you're reinvesting it back into your business, and voila, 1,000 days in, you know, you're booking $13,000 packages, and people are like, I want that. And it's similar to people that like want abs or want like big biceps or whatever it is, but they're not willing to eat healthy and exercise and submit to a process. One of my good friends, Jeremy, he had gotten really overweight, and he had been to the gym for about 2 weeks and had eaten healthy for 2 weeks. And he's like, man, I feel like I should look healthy all of a sudden, but it's only been 2 weeks. He's like, I look fat still, but I'm feel like inside something's changing. I can tell. I feel different. My mindset is shifting. And some of the times it's just making those implementations and then submitting to that process for time. And now my friend Jeremy has, you know, abs, and he's very fit. And because he's for now way more than 1,000 days himself, but like he changed something, he submitted to a process, he made the difficult decisions. It's not fun to not eat cake at the birthday party. It's not fun to not eat cookies at the birthday party. And sometimes it's not fun to be working those late hours, you know, being generous with couples, or doing that extra shoot for the wedding planner, or whatever the thing is that you're doing to grow and to build, or making those decisions on upgrading your website, or the arguments about where you're going in your business, and like all that stuff. Though, when you like zoom out and look at it, and it's like, wow, we've done a lot in the last 1,000 days, but really it's not that much time. So I would say this, we've pointed towards it a few times, and we haven't made an official announcement, but our Mastermind group is opening back up soon. If you're listening and you're like, what the heck is Mastermind? All you have to do is head over to howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind, and you can get on our wait list. But maybe talk just for a second, for those that already know about our Mastermind, that have been having FOMO for a year because they didn't do it last year. What has it meant to you? How would you describe it? What is it? What is it that made you say yes? Just give us the spiel, and maybe even like talk to somebody out there that you know is maybe 700 days into their journey or 400 days. What would you say to them about this?
I think when we were starting Mastermind, the biggest thing we were looking for is growth. And we knew we were at a point where we had the bandwidth to invest and to grow our business. So like, it was worth the money. It was worth the time, because we knew we had both of those things to be able to get started. I think at the beginning it was like a deep, hard look at ourselves and our brand and our goals, like the work we were creating, our client experience, and just kind of like, I don't know, just like getting a really in-depth look at it and figuring out from there, okay, so where are we going with that? And what is going to take us to the next level, and working through that week by week by week, and consistently meeting with you guys and our whole crew of mastermind students. There's 40 something of us right now. And just continuing to like get to know those people. For us, like we through that year like bought our camper van and road tripped across the country a few times, so we had the opportunity to meet like so many of our people that we'd been virtually hanging out with week after week after week, and it's just been super fun to get to know them. And then at this point, our retreat's coming up where we'll get to see all of them in real life again. And it's just been an amazing community worth of people to ask questions to be friends with, to grow with together, and to just like have people celebrate you when you have success as well. Like I think that's something that the mastermind group does really well, is celebrating each other's success more so than just, I don't know. There are definitely days where John just asks like, how are you actually doing? And getting to hear where people are really at in their vulnerable places too. Like, I don't know, there's so much depth to it that just isn't possible in any other circumstance.
Yeah. And if that alone isn't convincing enough for someone that's on the fence, I don't know what is. Like, it's been just an amazing opportunity. We love all the people that are involved with this, and it's just been a blast. So yeah, if anyone's on the fence and they're like worried about like price or something like that, like with what you're going to learn in just the first few months of Mastermind is enough for you to like book a wedding and pay that off. It's entirely worth the investment. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I haven't met anyone in Mastermind yet who has been disappointed in this. It's 100% worth it. If you're on the fence, if you're considering it, get on the waiting list. You need to do it.
And we'll send you your check for saying all those things.
Yes, thank you.
Those scripted things that we told you to say. No.
Yeah, I think we agreed on like what, $2,000 for that?
Yeah. And Nick said it like that's not true if you're listening.
It's not true.
Nick said like we are kind of like, I don't know if mother hen is what I would call us, but okay, that works. But we're
proud dads.
Proud dad. Yeah, we're your proud dads. Big brother. I don't know, but like, you know, we're not perfect, but we knew that we wanted to create something that we didn't have when we started, and the accountability that it has had for people to like get in there. We meet weekly. We have training, you know, where we talk through a subject. We open up for Q&A, and we get real. We get vulnerable real fast. You know, and then we bring in those guest speakers, the best in the industry, to speak once a month. The Facebook group that's just insanely good, and then the big party/retreat at the end of the year, all wrapped into one thing. It was like when we were building, it was like, what if there's nothing like this that's ever existed in our community? Like, what if we made this thing? And like, we never knew. We didn't know if people would their lives would change or whatever. And it's just really like unreal to watch the friendships in there, the relationships that have been built, and to see, you know, your story, you know, this being part of your 1,000-day journey from going from 1,800 weddings to $13,000 in this short period of time. I've seen it now time and time again since we've been doing this long enough for people. And whether or not you join our mastermind group or not, whether or not you buy one of our courses or not, you need to find a plan that works for you for getting on a system. You know, it's like there's all kinds of different diets that work for certain people, and maybe we're not the right fit for you. That's great, but you have to be trying to be moving forward in your business with your, you know, with your journey, or you're just going to be the same person this time next year. And we say that a lot. So if you're on the fence about that, get on the wait list. Nick, anything you want to add before we let Patrick and Alayna kind of shout out where they can be found, that sort of thing?
No. And I mean, I think that Mastermind is one of those things where you look at it and it costs, there's a fee to it each month, or, we do quarterly or whatever. And you might be sitting there thinking, well, it'd be great to be a part of this, but it costs some, it costs. And I think that if, Patrick and Alayna, if you were to ask them, is what you paid versus what you got out of it, or is the return on investment worth it? I think that they would sit here and say yes. Would you say that?
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
Everyone.
That could have gone a really bad direction.
It could have gone a bad direction.
Don't do anything.
There's a lot of people, and that's the thing that holds us back so much from doing things is, hey, I have this great opportunity, but it's going to cost me a few $1,000s, or it's going to cost me, a month of my life, or it's going to cost me this or cost me this. But what will you get out of it? Where will you go from? And this was something that definitely got Patrick and Alayna where they wanted to be. And it not only got them where they wanted to be, it got them where they wanted to be like 3 years faster than they wanted to get there. And so, it's definitely worth it. And everything worth doing in life, is going to cost you something, whether that's time, whether that's money, whether that's, well, time and money are kind of the two big things, right? It's going to cost you something. And so I'm just grateful to hear that, you guys bought in, and it was worth your time and energy, money, to be a part of it. So yeah. That's nice. But yes, I will go back over to what John was saying. If people want to follow along in your adventures as you're traveling all over the U.S. and, posting amazing photos and cool videos and all that kind of stuff, where can people find you?
On Instagram, you can find us at Shore and Summit. And then I don't think we really have much else as far as socials. We have a Facebook page, kind of, but that's Shore and Summit Storytelling. Our website, shoreandsummitstorytelling.com. I know it's a long thing. You got to type a lot, but it's worth it.
We'll link it as well. But
yeah, we can put a link in there.
Follow us on Instagram. We're constantly showing like what we do in our lives, not just about weddings, but just like what we enjoy doing ourselves.
That's good.
Yeah, and I will leave people with the just the reminder that like you can do something amazing with your business, with your brand. Like just watching a journey of someone, like we want to hear more about your journey. If there's anything we can ever do for you, if you're out there listening, please just hit us up on Instagram, send us a message. This is what we do these things for. We're so excited about 2022. So Patrick and Alayna, thank you guys so much for taking the time to share your story.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Patrick and Alayna, for coming on the podcast this week. We appreciate you taking the time, and we hope that you found their story inspiring. We know that we are getting a ton of people that are sending us messages like, "Oh, I just shot my first wedding," or I just launched business this year, and you're dreaming about where you want your business to go, and you're dreaming about how you want things to be for your business, and hopefully their story is inspiring. If you are like Patrick and Alayna and you are interested in elevating your business, taking it to the next level, so that you can accomplish a lot of your goals, maybe 3 years ahead of what you have mapped out in your head, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind. You do that right now, you can get on our wait list. We are going to be dropping info on Mastermind soon, like within the next few days, so that you can hear our plans, who's going to be speaking at it, all of that sort of stuff. So head over to howtofilmweddings.com/mastermind to get on that wait list. John, as always, it's been great to hang out with you. Thanks for being my best good buddy. And until next time, listeners, we will see ya.
See ya. Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films to your couples? Look no further. Our friends over at WedFlow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. WedFlow is pay per project with no large upfront cost or commitment, and you can cancel anytime. Not only that, WedFlow offers a premium viewing experience for your couples. accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years hosting and an experience for your clients that will blow them away. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way and give your couples something to rave about. Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/wedflow to check out Wedflow today.